Welcome to Rebuilding of the Black Woman. I am Nefertiti. And real quick, I just want to come on here and talk about submission for a second because we hear this term where, it's this thing going around saying Black women don't submit, right? We're not submissive. And we have to talk about what submission really is and what men of our own race perceive it to be, and how we actually submit the way that the men in our own race perceive it to be, right? Actually, it's both ways. Okay, so submission is submitting to a mission, okay? Black women throughout history, rather, again, Black Panther Party or the anti-lynching campaigns, abolitionists, anything to do with the freedom of Black people. If it was a man leading it, it was the women who were loyal and that submitted to that mission, right? This is all throughout history. You would never see a woman being treacherous or being a Judas, per se, towards a man that is trying to fight our way out of oppression, okay? You would never see that throughout history. So Black women have always been loyal. We have always been submissive, right? We are the most submissive women on the planet. Despite what other women are saying, and despite with, or I would say, I'm going to call them male-identified women, okay? And then what the men of our own race are saying. Now, we also submit to the fact that whatever sexual thing that the man or our man want us to do, we do it, right? So let's talk about this submission thing that the men of our own race perceive submission to be. So their definition of submission is to basically shut the fuck up. Don't say nothing. I don't want you to hold me accountable for anything. I want you to do as I say. I want you to allow me to mentally, physically, and emotionally destroy you, right? This is their meaning of submission, because again, remember, submission means submit to the mission. And today's Black men are men of our own race. They don't have a mission to submit to. So because of that, and because they feel that, spiritually, Black women are pulling away. They can feel that. They can feel that we're pulling away. We don't really want to have anything to do with them like that. So they feel this, right? As of why you keep seeing violence against Black women. You see it all over social media. You see, a woman that said no to a man. She was beat badly by multiple men. One woman was thrown in a trash can. And you see this physical abuse of Black women because we are finally saying no to Black men. We're finally not, you don't see us worshiping. We actually waking up to the fact that we have pampered and coddled and worship Black men, even though they didn't provide anything for us, right? So let's take Chris and Paige from Marriage at First Sight. Now, in this recent episode that I watched, of course, Chris, we all know that he got a woman pregnant. And for those who have not watched it, I'm sorry for spoiling it for you, but it's a couple, and within the first 48 hours of them being married, the woman had been through hell, okay, with this man. And before they showed their wedding, right, you see him in his confessional, and they ask him what type of woman that he wants. And his response was he want a submissive woman and a freak, okay? Which, again, submission and freak is interchangeable with them, right? It means the same thing. So in this episode, the first night they spent together, they became intimate, right? She submitted to his desires, and I'm gonna get to that later on. Get to the thing that happened later on, but basically they were intimate, right? Right after he was intimate with her twice, he tells her that he's not attracted to her. And we all know that black men are colorists, right? So it wasn't nothing wrong with her physically. The only thing that I can think of him not being attracted to her was that she was darker than he was. And again, that's a historical thing that I would get into in another video in regards to colorism and black men. But she, hearing these things that he is saying to her, and she still is more than willing to submit to him, right? So as the time goes by, the next day he finds out that he got his ex-fiance pregnant. And even then, she was more than willing to give the marriage a try. So let's fast forward to when they actually met with the pastor, right? So the pastor asks her, what happened. So she goes on to tell him what happened. And then what she said was very key, right? It was interesting to me what she said. She said that they were intimate multiple times. And the reason why she was intimate with him or had sex with him on the first night was because she didn't want to make her husband angry. She didn't want to make him mad by not bowing to what he wants, right? So even though he basically turned her world upside down, even after the fact he said that he wasn't attracted to her, even after the fact that, he told her that he had a baby on the way, she still was physically intimate with him every day without a condom. And even then, she still submitted to him. She still wanted to make him happy. And believe it or not, this is most black women. Most black women are like this. But then I want to go down to how we actually grow, right? So Paige is in her 20s. So in her 20s as a young woman, we are structured to be submissive to to a black man, right? To our husbands. We are built that way. But then as we get older and we get more wiser, we start to realize that these dudes ain't worth what they want. But again, black women are the most submissive. We are the most feminine. And again, this narrative that we're not submissive, that we're not feminine, is a complete lie. Because every black woman was a page at one point of her time until she grew in. As of why, like, if you notice, I hate to use this, man, but I think it's very imperative that I do, because this is exactly why you have elder men like Kevin Samuels, right? You see how he promotes older men seeking out younger women in their 20s. And the reason why he does this is because he knows through experience that when a woman is in her prime, actually you're not in your prime until you're in your 30s, but when you're young, he knows that she is already molded. She haven't had enough experience with men. So it's going to be easy for her to submit because she doesn't know any better. All she knows is that I want to please my husband as I was taught. Most black women, rather she's a prostitute, rather she's a good girl, rather she's a hoe, it doesn't matter. We are taught to please men, to submit to men. This is how we are taught. So he knows something. He knows that younger women will easily submit because they have not had the experience that women in their 30s and 40s have, and 50s and so on. He knows once a woman get in her 30s, she's in her prime. She's getting to know herself. She knows what she wants. She knows what she doesn't want. It's hard for her. She's headstrong. It's going to be hard for her to actually submit to a man that's not providing anything mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. He knows. Actually, most men knows. Most men who are narcissists know this. When you're a woman in your 20s, you don't have that experience. You're still trying to figure out life. You're still trying to date here and there. You're still trying to find yourself. As of why these grown men that's in their 40s, their late 30s, go for younger women. And let's not talk about the sexual part, because that's a whole different story. Most men that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s cannot handle a woman in her 30s and early 40s because we're in our sexual prime. They're not. Their sexual prime passed when they were in their 20s. Okay, this is just straight facts. So again, we have to understand that the narratives that are spoken, that the narratives that people talk about in regards to Black women in an attempt to shame her, to bring her down low, is not true. It's all projection. Because they see spiritually that we're pulling away. We're not going to submit to your sexual desires. We're not going to submit to your abuse. We're not going to submit to that anymore. So that's why they're yelling, you Black women need to submit. Y'all don't submit. That's all you hear. But anyway, that's it for the video. I was rambling on, but again, I'm gonna do another video on submission and go a little deeper.